Is that was my cue? Oh, okay. Hello again, everybody. It's me again. Sorry, you just can't get rid of me. Me and my licensed games and my out of sync audio. But yeah, this is Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, which as I say is another licensed game cartoon. To briefly explain what this is, some of you might have heard of this cartoon. I hope some of you have heard of the character. Basically, around the after roughly around the time of Toy Story 2, they decided to make a spin-off cartoon that was like the in-universe, like the show that Buzz Lightyear the toy was taken from, like him in Star Command going around and fighting Zurg and such. And it was a really good show, and it was apparently pretty successful because they made a game of it, and that's this game. And 20 years later, I'm playing it in front of Lord knows how many people. Well, in commentary, I have my good friend Nichole Goodnight,
Hello.
who's going to be doing the next run after this one, so definitely stay tuned for that. So, yeah, the time is going to start when I hit start, so, I guess don't take my vocal cue for it, just when we go off the screen, maybe start the timer. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. We're gonna go right in there, getting straight into the first level, Joad 1. Thankfully, because this is a PC game, the load times are nowhere near as bad as Kids Next Door. They're more or less instantaneous. This is basically the format of this game, is it's kind of like a, it's a sort of Crash Bandicoot deal where it's like a 3D platformer, but you're kind of running forward. And basically, every level has like a villain in it who's like some kind of space criminal, and we have to chase them down to their getaway spot. And then once we're there, we have a little bit of a shootout and we arrest the bad guy. Just another day on patrolling with Star Command. And right away, I'm doing a bit of what we call GAC management, because the money in this game, Galactic Alliance Credits, or GACs for short, that is the terminology the game uses. I'm not just using a silly acronym or abbreviation, whatever word you want to use, but basically, we have to pick up our own money for equipment for guns and vehicles and things. And we have to manage how much we pick up quite closely, because I'll lost my train of thought there, because at the end of the level, it'll count up the amount that we have, like as progress towards a bonus medal, and we don't want it to count up, so we want to have as few GACs as possible at the end of the level. So we've been managing the amount we pick up pretty closely so that we're able to pick up this Gatling gun at the end for 30 GACs. We get to the end, so we beat the boss to the end, so Mira is able to deal a little bit of additional damage to the boss. We pick up the Gatling gun, we get a little bit overzealous with the controller, so we flick around a little bit, and that's the first level done already. I should probably explain the category as well. New Game Plus All Bosses refers to basically we're on a completed file, and we don't have to do any of the side missions, so we don't have to pick up rescue all the LGMs, we don't have to collect a certain amount of GACs, we don't have to do the time trials, we don't have to do the XR recovery missions, XR being like a little robot friend of Buzz's. And yeah, we don't have to do any of that. It's all about arresting the bad guys. This is the second level, Flamar, where we have to face off against Gravatina, who is the first actual show villain that we're up against. The villain of the first stage is kind of just a random, like, background thug from the show, basically. But yeah, this is the first actual character from the show that we're going up against. She has the power to manipulate gravity and mostly just uses it to try and get Buzz to go on a date with her. It's very much like a lighthearted Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe. I wanted to get that mine gun, but I missed it, so I'm going to go this way and pick up this rocket launcher instead, because we are going to be going for a quick kill on the boss. This is one of the only stages that has a skip in it, and it requires us that first of all, that we run out of hoverboard fuel. So we're going to take a slightly longer way through here. Jump instead of going the quick way. Avoid these leeches. We're going to run out of fuel right before the end of the level. This is perfect timing. We pick up this lightning gun, and if I've done it right, we stand in that lava. Have I done it right? Yes! By standing in the lava, for some reason, that lets us move during the cutscene. which allows us to damage the boss early. You don't kill her in the cutscene because that'll make the game crash. And then we do the quickest boss fight in the world to end the level.
Always willing to lend a helping hand.
Sorry, I've kind of just been talking non-stop for the first two stages. Nichole, do you have anything to add?
So much going on. It's amazing.
Yeah, this game, it kind of starts out pretty quick, but once you've explained the basics, you quickly get into a bit of a rhythm of it. There's basically 13 stages of this, followed by a final boss. We're on the third stage already. This is Canis Lunis, which is basically a werewolf planet, but we're not fighting a werewolf yet. This is, for this stage, we're up against the energy vampire Nos 4A2. This really is like peak Saturday morning comedy that we're dealing with here. And for some reason, we're permanently on a hoverboard in this level. I don't know why. I guess they just decided that vampires are too fast to be dealt with on foot. And this is also the first level where I get a bit of a free moment to talk about the absolutely bopping music in this game. I'm gonna try and resist the urge to like just zone out for a bit and let you all enjoy the music, but it is a really good soundtrack to this game. I like finding these kinds of licensed games that have like surprisingly good music, because like it's just a fun thing that like half the time the quality of the game, the quality of music in a video game is pretty divorced from like the quality of the game itself. Like sure, good games tend to have good music, but then you've also got like a lot of your say like PS4 exclusive first-party Sony games that have kind of generic orchestral scores, if I'm being entirely honest. Stuff like that, like your cinematic Western games. And then you have licensed games like this, where the composer just kind of had a bit of fun with it. And we got some nice, catchy little tunes out of it.
I like that they were like, you know what this game needs? A race with an energy vampire on a jet board.
Oh, totally. More games.
I love it.
By the way, I should probably explain the bombs. I just destroyed one and it reminded me there. Basically, every level from this level onwards has bombs in it where, like, as the boss passes by a bomb, they will arm it, and then Buzz only has around 45 seconds to a minute to destroy the bomb, or else it will explode the entire planet and you'll have to start the level all over again. Because when I'm being chased by a space cop for doing like some small-time crimes, probably, my immediate response is to jump to immediate planetary terrorism. Anyway, here's the boss fight with Nos 4A2, where for some reason he's the only boss in this game that has this kind of gimmick. We're gonna strip his shield first of all. Every boss has like color-coded shields, and the shield is color-coded to like what weapon they are vulnerable to. And oops, get out of my way, Nos 4A2. And yeah, but Nos 4A2, when his shield is stripped, for some reason doesn't become vulnerable, and you have to take out the 4 turrets with the rings around them, and then that for some reason will cause his health to start draining. I don't know why that's how that works, but it is. No other boss in the game has a remotely similar gimmick. And now we're going on to Khan to chase the villain Marl, who I'm not sure if this guy was in the show. I feel like he was, but his dialogue is kind of generic, so I can't remember anything he really had to do with anything. This is more of like a jungle planet kind of vibe here. And if I'd picked up the mine gun like I meant to in Flame R1, then this level will be the first level that we see the rocket launcher in any real serious capacity. Which is a shame, because this is a fun level to debut it on, because we get a bit more time to use it. In Flame R, we kind of just dash past everything. But in this level, we actually get to fight some enemies. Which is fun, because the rocket launcher absolutely mashes basically every enemy in the game. Like, Gravatina was the rule rather than the exception. Pretty much every boss, like, once their shields are down, will go down in basically one hit to the rocket launcher. It's quite the incredible weapon. So for the most part, in this level, we're kind of just gonna run right towards the end. We're gonna get the rocket launcher. There's not a whole lot of, like, fancy tech to this game. It's just more or less a speedrun. Just looks like a casual playthrough, except done very optimally, very efficiently, and overall very well. It's just about getting through the levels as fast as possible. It's some good, honest speed gamery, and at the end of the day, I think that's respectable. Don't you?
Absolutely, I've been enraptured by this commentary so far.
Thank you. Is the audio delay too much of an issue?
I'm still enjoying my experience, so I think it's fine.
Okay, good to know that that even in spite of the restreaming business, that I'm hopefully the chat agrees that I'm putting on an entertaining show of the speed game. That's a dinosaur, by the way, that we just shot rockets at until it fell over and died. Buzz Lightyear, the children's game. Shoot rockets at dinosaurs.
Of course, as you do.
As you do. Don't you just... More games should have you shoot rockets at dinosaurs. If anyone knows any other games where you shoot rockets at dinosaurs, answers on a postcard. I'd like to hear about it. And now here we're gonna pick up this lightning gun right before the end. You get a few bonuses for beating the boss to the end, and also, I believe I mentioned before, but just to expand on this, here is Mira-Nova, who is one of like Buzz's partners on the Star Command team, who, if you beat the boss to their hideout, will, as I say, soften the boss up so they start the fight with a bit less health. And there you see the raw destructive power of the rocket launcher, basically just taking Marl down from full down to 0 immediately. Heck of a thing. Sometimes when you've got all these fancy space guns, all you need is a big rocket launcher. Now we're going to Trade World 1, where the villain is the Fixer, whose voice you might recognize if you're a Disney fan, because he's voiced by Ed Asner, aka Carl Fredricksen from the movie Up. And I believe him being in this as well as Up makes him one of the only people who has voiced both a Disney hero and a Disney villain. I'm sure I'm probably going to get corrected on that pretty summarily by people who know more about Disney than I do. Did not want to bonk on that enemy. Here we see the jet bike for the first time since Flamar, for the first time in any extended capacity. We're going to take it down the highway of what is basically the big business planet, Trade World. And we want to manage our fuel pretty cleanly, because the jet bike kind of eats through fuel like the clappers. So we can afford to miss like 1, but if we miss 2, then we're gonna have to get out and start walking before we get to the part where it forces the jet bike away from us. But thankfully we've managed to hit pretty much all of them, so we're gonna make it to this section here with fuel aplenty to spare. Now we have the plasma gun, which I believe I picked it up in Canis Lunis once. You will have seen it then, but you won't have seen it upgraded. I should probably explain upgrades as well. There's so many basic game elements that I've just not been able to explain because I'm so caught up in speedrun minutia and TV show trivia. Basically, if you buy a weapon again, then you will gain an upgraded form of it, which usually has a higher ammo capacity and sometimes more damage. But in the plasma gun's case, it becomes a spread gun, where the fire rate decreases very slightly, but it gains additional projectiles, up to a maximum of 5 projectiles per pull of the trigger. And sadly though, that like third upgrade that we got of it is the last thing we have to buy in this level. So for like pretty much the rest of the stage, we're just going to be avoiding enemies, trying not to pick up any gax. We get another one of these to take it up to 4 shots as like a little freebie for beating the Fixer to the bonus level, or rather to the... I mixed up 2 completely different concepts there. We beat the Fixer to the boss fight and we get a bonus for it. There we go. That's what my brain was trying to communicate. And hopefully we don't lose a bunch of time here, because this is one of the only parts of the game where there's a lot of RNG. Basically, the Fixer can either give us the good pattern or the bad pattern. The good pattern is where he stays on the ground and lets us shoot him. So after this little cutscene of Mira, like, doing some damage to him, let's see if we manage to get it. We're gonna just stand still, let him fly over. We go for a precision turn, and I'm pretty sure we've gotten the good pattern now. Thank you for cooperating for once, old man. Normally normally he can just decide, you're gonna lose 12 seconds on this split because I feel like it. but he was actually surprisingly cooperative there, which is not something I'm used to. Now that we're on the 6th level, we're going to start seeing repeats, or rather like different variations on previous level. This is Joad 2, where we come up against the villain Torque, who is voiced by Brad Garrett, who is one of the only other actors to voice both a Disney hero and a Disney villain. Some of you Disney fans might recognize him as the voice of Chef Cousteau in Ratatouille, albeit with a more of a comedy French accent in that than his like tough guy thuggish voice in this game. And music fans might also recognize him as the guy with the scimitar on the back cover of, I want to say it's Discovery by ELO. It's some ELO album. It's not Out of the Blue or Time. I know it's not those two. It's one of the ones before those, I'm pretty sure. I probably should have looked that up before I started the run, but oh well. That's the most important thing when you're getting ready for a marathon run, is brushing up on your Electric Light Orchestra trivia. That's the most important part of any speed game. Oh, I missed the bike. I deliberately didn't go for the jump so I wouldn't miss the bike, and I missed it anyway. Good going, Steb. Anyway, I'm gonna go through here, pick up that 20, get the rocket launcher. We're gonna have a bit of a GAC surplus coming out of the stage, but that's okay. It doesn't really lose a whole bunch of time. It's just a matter of small optimizations. It's only when you have like into the 100 count that your GACs start becoming a problem. Gonna pick up the guns in hopefully the correct order. Torque has 3 shields, which is more than any other boss in the game, even the final boss. And normally we did some strats with using the rocket launcher to bounce projectiles between Torque's hitbox and the shield's hitbox to just do very rapid ship damage. Okay, we did a bit of it there, and he's like started to move, so I'm just gonna do that. That's the old strat. It's a little bit less consistent, but it's also really fun to pull off. You just saw basically a bit of a more I guess technical explanation of that is if you stick your gun like right behind the shield, then the projectile will shoot past the shield. It'll hit the boss, then bounce back off the shield and get stuck in a loop. We're going to wait a little bit there, let Screel over here get a little bit of a head start on us, because otherwise, when we kill this grub enemy, he is going to be standing on the GAC when we try to pick it up. So we just let him get a little bit of a head start, just so he's not in our way. And now we get the jetpack, and we just move past him, and we do the rest of the level as normal. This is Khan 2, by the way. So, this is... Pretty much every level has only 2 variants, so if you wanted to see Khan at any point in the rest of the run, if you were hoping for a really good late-game Khan stage, I'm really sorry, but this is where your dreams come to an end. Everybody say bye-bye, Khan. This is the last time we'll see it in the run. I don't know why I'm making such a big deal out of this. It seems like something funny, and when you're running games like this, you really got to pick up on the comedy of the game when you're running these kinds of licensed games, because, like, when you're running an established speed game, more or less everyone knows the deal, everyone knows what the game is. Whereas with games like this, half the fun is showing kind of the kitsch factor to a new audience who hasn't been exposed to it, unless they like played the game as a kid.
Yeah, that was a brief but passionate love affair we had with Karn.
Oh yeah, it was a fun time when we were together with Khan, but sadly all good things must come to an end.
Maybe all good things must Karn to an end.
Oh, good grief.
I'll go now, bye.
That's your contribution to the commentary, but my word, if it wasn't, you waited for your chance to get in there and you got the maximum impact you could.
Stay hidden like a snake until it's ready to come out with the fun.
Just hide in the bushes and get ready to pounce.
Exactly.
Anyway.
That's how good comedy works.
Yep, it's all about the precision. Anyway, we picked up about like 60 GACs throughout this level, and we haven't really spent them on anything. That's because we're about to spend them on a Gatling gun, which costs about 60. The Gatling gun is generally the most expensive gun in the game. It's basically the starting blaster that you get in at the start of every level, this thing, except better in every single way, aside from the fact that it has like an ammo count. But even with just 2 upgrades, it has a max ammo count of 999, so you're not exactly going to be running out anytime soon. Gonna get a second one here, and I am just gonna be quiet and let y'all appreciate Skreel's dialogue.
I got this one, Buzz. I softened him up for you, Buzz.
Thanks, Mira.
Always
I
willing
still
to
have
lend a helping
102
hand.
Dalmatians incentives that I can talk about if that's good with you.
Ooh, hang on, real quick. I was just talking about the aftermath of that, of those hurt sounds coming off of Skreel. My only assumption with what happened there is some poor person mixed up his death sound with his hurt sound. Because when he gets hurt, when he dies, he just goes like, eh. But when he gets hit, he does like the big dramatic, no!
I am Buzz
Uh,
Lightyear.
Anyway, this is
Drama
the level
queen
with
in
ice
life.
physics. Normally I would talk about the ice physics, but I'm gonna let those incentives get explained for a bit. You can talk about those.
Sure. So
all
yeah, after this we have the Lion King game, and then immediately after that is Disney's 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue. I'm really emotional about these puppies, so I'm gonna keep talking about them until these goals are met, you guys. So
We gotta get the puppies as much like GDQ potential as possible.
Yeah, we need the puppies to be the new like orb or something. Come on.
Yeah.
So there's a glitch exhibition, and we are still looking for, let me do some quick math, $310. So come on, that's not that much. We can do that. And after that, there is also a missing birthday present. Priscilla the pig is missing her birthday present. Meet this incentive, and we'll find it for her. Guys, please, for the pig.
I can't really add much to that. Just come on, we gotta do it for the puppies. I mean, we're already bidding to save the animals for Super Metroid. Let's be good to some animals today. Let's do it for the animals.
I'll start crying on stream if I have to.
So yeah, this stage kind of just, for all that I was like saying like about the ice physics and how much I don't like them, like briefly at the start of the stage, thankfully this shield that we picked up more or less nullifies them, so we don't have to worry about that. But what we do have to worry about is the fact that the shield has a sound effect that roughly sounds like you tried to auto-tune someone blowing through a straw. That's the only downside to not having to deal with the ice physics. Thankfully, though, we're at the end of the stage.
I kind of really hope that's how they got that sound.
You and me both.
I would love to have been there when they recorded it, just to know.
This one, Buzz.
Here's the boss fight with the plasma monster, the boss with about 8 polygons by the looks of him.
Softened him up for you, Buzz.
He's gonna go down pretty quick to the rocket launcher, like more or less every other boss where the rocket launcher is available. Let's be good to the animals, she says, shortly after she blows up a dinosaur and freezes a bunch of hamsters. Do as I say, not as I do. What can I say? This is Bathios, by the way. It's an underwater level. They just had to put in an underwater level and, like, go to the trouble of, like, modeling Buzz Lightyear's, like, Star Command issue scuba suit. There are, like, other planets from the show that aren't in this game that they could have very easily done above land, like Rhizome, Capital Planet, Roswell, any of those. But no, we had to go to the extra trouble of putting in the water level. It's in, like, 2 episodes of the show. But at the very least, this level gives us a chance to show off the homing plasma gun, which is about the only gun that can rival the rocket launcher for the title of best gun in the game. It's basically, it uses the same like ammo type and like shield damaging type as the regular plasma gun, so it damages orange shields, except it fires a bit slower, but does significantly more damage. And like the plasma gun, it gets multiple projectiles when you upgrade it. So now basically we are just going to be holding X through the rest of the stage and just annihilating any of these poor fish enemies that get in our way. Oh, I've never seen the camera do that before. That's interesting. I briefly was worried I was going the wrong way, but apparently I'm going the right way, so it's all good. I really like the music for this level. This level has probably some of my favorite music in the game. It's got a kind of a cool, Indian motif, and I don't know why they did that for the water level, but I'm glad they did because it's a certified bop. Now we go on to the boss fight with Blackfin, which is one of the trickier boss fights in the game because it's the only boss fight that has Z-axis movement, or Y-axis movement, I should say. I mean, we're moving in the Z and the X-axis generally, but yeah, the Y-axis is when we start going up and down, and we have to deal with some of that here. Come on, Blackfin. Black was actually a surprisingly more cooperative Blackfin than I'm used to. So, yeah, that was actually pretty good. And we're actually getting decently close to the end of the game. There are 14 levels total. We're going into the 10th one here, Flamar 2, which is where Buzz has to go up against his longtime nemesis, Warp Dark Matter, voiced by none other than Deirdre Bader, aka Hoss Delgado from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, for those of you who like your other cartoons in the chat. It's basically the same voice for both of them. They're kind of gruff, tough guy kind of voice. Except one is like a bit more evil and like slightly less incompetent. The first part of this level is kind of annoying because we can get hit by both these pterodactyl enemies and these leech enemies. And the leech enemies are annoying. They can damage you, but also they can latch onto Buzz's head and both mirror his controls as well as drain his gax until he has none left. So if you're saving up a bunch of gax to like get a medal or something, then those guys are just gonna ruin your day. So yeah, aside from that, we're just gonna kind of move through the level, do a little bit of complicated gack management. Random bit of trivia up here, normally all of the bombs drop 10 gax, except that one drops 11. I have no idea why, but it does. The many mysteries of the galaxy. Just gonna take a slightly quicker route up here. Go by these lava falls. I've thought about trying to do strats that involve damage boosting off the lava, but the when you bounce off the lava, your movement is actually reasonably slow, so it doesn't seem to be worth doing anything. We're gonna cut this jump here, get on this hoverboard, take out the bomb, pick up that little extra bit of fuel. Now we zip through these tunnels. Hopefully we don't get latched on, and we got latched on. Okay, no problem. That's gonna slightly mess up our gack routing and our regular routing, but whatever. Okay, we have 15, that's all that we need. Gonna jump up here. Hopefully I make the jump, please. Yes, okay, got the Gatling gun. Now this next bit is kind of complicated. I have to weave and pick up like 2 power-ups at speed. Managed to get both of them. Very nice. Now the fight with Warp is slightly awkward. His hitbox is like weird, like slightly weirdly aligned, so sometimes shots can just kind of go past him and he'll break out of the hit stun that you can get him in. But thankfully he seems to be rather cooperative at this point. Yeah, that was actually a really clean Warp Dark Matter fight. And no gax at all to count up at the very end. That's what you want to see. Well, actually, you want to see like 1 or 2, because sometimes it takes a little bit longer for the game to realize that there's nothing to actually count up. But if it just does the count up and does nothing, then that's slightly faster. This is Trade World 2, where we have to go up against XL, who is like a prototype Star Command robot who got passed over in favor of Buzz's robot partner XR, and he's really mad about it. Voiced by Bobcat Goldthwait, of all people. I'm pretty much just... half of the fun of running this game at marathons is just introducing all of the characters with their respective voice actors, where they're applicable. There's only like a few characters that don't have their voice actors returning from the show. Buzz is, of course, as you could probably hear, voiced by the one, the only Patrick Warburton. And sadly, one of the only voice actors they didn't get back was Wayne Knight as the voice of Zurg, which is a real shame because he was one of the best parts of the show. He actually is like, he does an incredible job at sounding like sinister, yet also like over the top and hammy. He does like a weird British accent and they put a bunch of filters on him. It's almost impossible to tell that it's him unless you like know what you're listening out for. It's a really good performance. We get the jet bike here. We don't boost on it immediately. We're gonna do some fuel management here. We use these enemies spawning up here as a timing indicator. We do that. Take a slightly wider route than I would have liked. That might mess with our fuel just a little bit. And indeed it did, but thankfully we ran out still at an opportune point where we were able to not overshoot the jump pad. Now we get on this hoverboard. And for a long time no see since Canis Lunis, we're going to pick up a freeze gun, which is a really useful weapon in pretty much every level where you can get it. And it basically, any enemy that is weak to it gets absolutely destroyed by it. And XL, thankfully, is the only boss in the game who has a blue shield that is specifically weak to the freeze gun. And if you don't pick it up because if you somehow miss it during the stage, then what you're supposed to do for his boss fight is touch turrets to convert them to your side and make them shoot XL with blue bullets. It's a bizarre, weird mechanic that thankfully you don't have to use if you just get there before XL and pick the gun. Gonna go up here to avoid getting our hoverbike taken away a little bit sooner. Ride the rail a little bit. That's actually really precarious. If your movement isn't like precise there, then you can just fall into the void and have to start the level over again, which is really annoying to have to do considering we're this close to the end of the level. And this is a really good trade world too, which you can tell because we managed to get to the boss fight right before the music had to loop. We just heard the last note there. That's how you know you're on a really good trade world too. If you're slightly too slow, then the music will just start to loop before the boss fight happens, which is kind of annoying.
I got this one, Buzz.
Commentary audio seems very far ahead. Yeah, that's just part of me having to restream to the GDQ studio instead of doing my run in person. I'm really sorry, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's XL down, by the way. He just got nay-nayed on, quite frankly. Now we have Canis Lunis 2, which is the normally the most annoying part of the run. But thanks to a skip that we in the community like to call trans rights are human rights skip, we can make this level not really much of a problem at all. We're gonna go in here, we grab onto the ledge, we use that to clip through the wall, and then we destroy the bomb, and now the boss is stuck in place, and we can just take the level at our own leisure. Normally this is like a really hard sort of wave-based enemy level, where the boss is really fast, and they lock doors behind them. So you have to like take out all the enemies while the bomb timer is going in order to move on. It's all about like powering up your weapons and getting really, really strong by the end of it. But instead we just use that clip to trick the game. And now the boss can't move because he's waiting for us to open the door in the first room, which we're not going to do because we didn't do the first room. I don't know who found that clip initially, but it was my good friend Andrea, who discovered that it is useful on the PC version because for a while this game was ran using the PS1 version, and doing that clip on the PS1 version just kind of the rest of the level isn't loaded, so doing that clip will just send you straight into a bottomless void of doom. But doing it on the PC, the rest of the level is loaded, so we can break the level and save about 4 or 5 minutes. Thanks to not having to fight all the enemies. So yeah, that's more or less the story of that skip, which completely breaks this level, which is more or less the reason I started running this game, because when I was a kid, I had this game on the PS1, but I had a PS2 and no PS1 memory card, so I could never save with this game. I had to do the whole thing in one day. And when I was a kid, I could never beat this level. It just was beyond me. So when I looked up the speedrun on a whim many years later, and I saw this level and I saw this skip, and I was just like, what? And I was like, okay, I have to get in on some of this. Just because, you know, like, and I mean, speedrunning your childhood games is always a little bit of fun, you know? It's just an enjoyable, yeah, just like a nice experience to take a game that like you think you know in like the deep memories of your childhood, and basically relearn everything you know about it. Here's the fight with the werewolf, by the way. Remember when I said we're not fighting any werewolves yet? Here's the werewolf. He's a Star Command Ranger who was exposed to the moon and turned into a robot werewolf. Which sounds like a pretty cool thing to be. I mean, if I could be a robot werewolf, I'd do it.
Aren't
he
we
goes
all
down.
exposed to the moon?
I mean, yeah, when you think about it.
Am I a werewolf?
But, like, this was a spooky space moon. Okay, going into the second to the last level now, Planet Z. This is the first of 2 levels where we go up against Zerg. So, confusingly, we have a boss fight against Zerg at the end of the level, and we defeat him. But then we just have another one. This is actually one of the harder levels in the run. Your movement has to be pretty precise to make a cycle near the end. As basically, you might have seen me taking teleporters like throughout the rest of the run. Well, there's a teleporter you can take in this level, but the problem is it skips a bomb that you have to destroy. So unless you're like really efficient in getting through the stage, then Zerg will activate that bomb right before you go into the boss fight, and you can't. And the game will refuse to activate a boss fight when there is a bomb that needs to be destroyed. So there's a chance that, like, right as you get to the end of the stage, the game will just decide, no, do it again. You failed. I don't know why the game apparently has the voice of Emperor Palpatine, but it just does. So yeah, that can happen, but my movement seems to be pretty good, hopefully, unless I make any significant mistakes later on, we won't have to deal with that or go for any safety backup strats. Hopefully, we should be fine. We seem to be making a good go of it. We have the upgraded homing plasma gun, which, as I say, just lays waste to anything in its wake. So we don't much have to worry about any enemies getting in our way. We also don't have to worry about it because we're playing on cadet mode instead of ranger mode. So basically, we play the game on easy mode because we're allowed to. There's nothing saying that we can't. And that's actually really important because there are a lot of stages where you take a lot of damage boosts and just generally don't care about the damage that you take. And trying to do those same routes on the harder difficulty cuts it really close. When I started running this game, I played on that difficulty, and like towards the end of the stage, for instance, I would be like just about scraping by. So like this part here, I would have to make a jump down there to get some health and then do like a ledge grab to get back up, but instead we can just cut straight across there. I took the teleporter, by the way, so if you see a timer appear on the screen, then I've just lost about 3 minutes. And that'll be fun. I mean, it'll be in character after the train wreck that was that Kids Next Door run. Please, 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 please. Okay, thank goodness. For once, I'm having a run go well. What is this sorcery?
Yay!
Yeah.
Hooray!
So now comes the fight against Zerg, where basically we're just gonna strip his shield and then hope that he cooperates with the positioning so we can get some homing plasma gun shots in. There we go. If your positioning isn't, like, precise, then the shots will kind of go past Zerg and then you kind of spin around like, oh, where's the enemy? Where's the enemy? But instead, we just more or less meat shot him. And now we go into the second Planet Z level, Zerg's Throne Room. This is the final boss of the game. It's a 2-phase boss fight where first we have to like deal with a bunch of waves of enemies and periodically deal damage to Zerg, and then we have a more traditional shield-based boss fight. So more or less, this is the level where your GAC management comes to a head, like, and I don't mean that in terms of like avoiding GACs, but as in like every single GAC you collect matters. If you miss one, you're not going to be able to do the optimum route for this stage. So we're just going to try and focus on getting as much DPS as we can in with a standard blaster, and then we're going to want to deal with these guys to hopefully get enough gacs for a rocket launcher. Sometimes one of them just doesn't spawn, which is incredibly irritating, but thankfully all of them spawned. You can see here the knockback from enemy projectiles, which isn't much of an issue for the rest of the game, but in this level, the concentrated fire from all of those enemies can hold Buzz entirely in place. I missed a shot there, that's irritating. I was trying to go for some shenanigans where if you hit Zerg on the very bottom of his hitbox, then, oh god, I missed 10 gacs. Oh, no, yes, okay. If you hit Zerg on the very bottom of his hitbox, then he takes significantly more damage for some reason. Like, see, I just got it there. Okay, did I? Oh my god. Okay, I didn't quite kill him. I was I wasn't sure if I was about to go for a third, another part of the cycle there. Okay, there we do that final little bit of damage. We go into the second phase. I pause and unpause really quick because for some reason the music goes away unless you pause and unpause. I'm going to knock him back here so I can pick up 5 gags. We run around this way to influence where he spawns, and now we pick up the freeze gun. For some reason, no matter what shield Zerg has, the freeze gun absolutely mashes him. Time is going to be coming up when Zerg dies, by the way, and now we just lay into him with the level 3 rocket launcher, and hopefully he should go down pretty soon. And time. Or rather, I don't know where you're hearing time because of my commentary being that far ahead, but basically when Zerg goes down, that will be time. I accidentally skipped the cutscene, which is a bit of a problem, so we don't get to see quite the FMV, but we at least see the FMV of Buzz steering a completely unrelated missile away from Star Command to save the day, and now we get the credits. Which is just a parade of every enemy in the game walking around the final boss arena. What was the time on that?
The time on that was 38:53.
38:53?
Yep.
That's world record.
What?
That's world record.
Congratulations! Oh my god!
My PB before that was a 39:11, so not only is that a world record, that's the first sub 39. Good.
Stab!
Showed Kids
Oh,
Next
I'm
Door.
so happy for you.
Oh, that is the opposite of the Kids Next Door run. I am so... Oh my... I wasn't expecting that. I mean, the Ice Gun strat on Zerg is new, but like the rest of that run was kind of... That was textbook. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. That's amazing.
Oh, oh my goodness. At least we have, and as well, we have the credits music to enjoy it with, because fun fact about this game, normally it's missing music. The map theme, which also doubles as the boss theme, and the credits music are both missing from the PC version. The code to call for them is still there, but the files are just missing. So if you go in and add the files back to the game yourself, then they work as normal, which is what I've done. So we get like a nice sort of medley of the stage themes, but oh my god. World record. I can't believe I just did that. Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Let's shoutouts to everyone at GDQ who's, I guess if we're doing shoutouts to everyone who's like made this event possible. Shoutouts to Andrea, Peter Afro, everyone in the Buzz Lightyear community. There's not that many of us. In fact, actually, the leaderboards have been pretty interesting lately. There's been like an IL battle, 2 guys going back and forth, just trading ILs together. But yeah, shoutouts to the whole community. Shoutouts to GDQ. Shoutouts to everyone in Twitch chat who gave me a second chance after how bad that Kids Next Door run was. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, everybody. I got world record.
Fantastic job.
Thank you. What do we do now?
All right, we're going to take a quick break and go into a Twitch ad, but then we will be back with The Lion King. All right, everyone, we have a $25 donation from Bookworm. I'm undecided about Metroid animals, but we need to rescue the Dalmatians. I agree. Thank you so much for your donation. So now we are